succeeded as a team. My dad is a cancer survivor, and I'll get into that a little bit more as I go throughout my speech. But the first thing is that I'm so excited to be here with all you guys today and to be able to be part of this event and to say a few words and share my story with you. Like many of you, my family and I have been through a tough situation with cancer, so that's where I'll start. I'm going to tell you the survivor story of the man that I'm most proud of on this planet, and that's my dad, Pete Sr. So first, to put things in context, my now wife, Liz, and I were scheduled to get married on July 21st, 2012, so this past summer. The wedding was to be in my hometown of Edwardsville, Illinois, or GPI, as us locals call it. We had been planning it for over a year. Well, let me rephrase that. Liz, my mother-in-law, my mom, and Liz's sisters have been planning it for over a year. You guys know how that goes. So on the 4th of July, 2012, as you can imagine, things were pretty tense. As we were getting closer to the big day, we were trying to pull everything together. Liz and I were in Granite City getting ready to go see some fireworks, and I got a text from my mom saying that they were taking my dad to the emergency room. My dad's never been the type of guy that would go to the doctor, let alone the emergency room. So we went to the hospital. When we met him there, my mom told me that they had just got done running a routine CT scan on him, and they were checking him for carpal tunnel, which that's what I thought it was from all his years spent as a mechanic. So a few minutes after the CT scan, the doctor came back in with the results. This is when he said the words to my dad that changed my life and the life of my family forever. He said, "I have some shocking and bad news." He looked my dad straight in the eye and he said, "Pete, you have a mass on your brain and it isn't small." As you can imagine, this news shook my family and I to our core. Nothing was ever the same. Like everyone else, we all think these things don't happen to us. This can't happen to me until it does. So from here, we were sent immediately to St. John's Hospital in Springfield, where upon arrival, my dad began to get evaluated by the neurosurgery team. It was soon determined that a brain biopsy of my dad's head would need to be done to determine whether or not the mass was malignant. In general terms, a biopsy is not a big deal, but when it's in your head, that's a whole different ballgame. For the next day or two, we stayed at the hospital while more tests were run, and it was during that time that the reality of the situation started to sink in. Up to this point, it felt like we were living a dream and that none of this was real. I felt like we would wake up and things would be back to normal. I never realized how good normal was until that was taken away. Getting back to my dad's medical situation. They went in and did the biopsy, taking out a small piece of the mass in his brain to analyze it. After 2 days in the ICU and several days in the neurosurgery recovery department of the hospital, we were allowed to go home for 1 week, which is the amount of time that it took for the results of the test to be processed and come back. 1 week later, we went back to meet with the neurosurgeon and his team to discuss the test results. The results were clear, concise, and not good. The mass was a glioblastoma. And just from the little research I had done throughout the week, I knew from the first syllable that came out of the doctor's mouth that this was the last word that I wanted to hear. Glioblastoma is a very aggressive, fast-growing type of cancer. At this point, the team of doctors stepped out of the room, and we had about 5 minutes to cry and make the decision on what to do before they came back in and needed an answer, and before their assistants came back in to start asking us about our health insurance. Keep in mind that it is now currently July 13th, 2012, and our wedding is in 1 week on July 21st. We had 3 choices. Number 1 was to do nothing, which the doctor estimated would give my dad 3 months to live. Number 2 was wait until the wedding was over to resect the tumor. Or number 3, operate as soon as possible and get it out. Without much discussion, we chose number 3, get it out as soon as possible, because that's what would give my dad the best chance. After this, we got to come home for the weekend to get the house in order. And Monday, we checked in for the surgery, and before we went in, the doctors and medical students came in and asked if it was okay to use my dad as a case study that could hopefully help someone else in the future. Without hesitation, we said yes. The neurosurgeon also asked if my dad would be willing to volunteer to take an experimental drug before the surgery that would hopefully make the cancer cells glow and turn a different color than the non-cancerous cells when they did the operation. He said yes. The drug had been tried on 8 patients previously, and it only partially worked on 1 of them. When my dad was in surgery, the procedure took about 2 hours longer than it was supposed to, so we were very nervous. But when the surgeon came out to update us, He said that it all had gone very well, and the experimental drug had lit up the cancerous cells like a light bulb, which made their job much easier. This, we felt, was a miracle. For the next week, my dad was in the ICU recovering and getting intense physical therapy. They were trying to temporarily fast-track him so that he could get to the wedding at the end of the week. This was not like getting a tooth pulled. This is the most serious surgery that a person can have. The day before the wedding, the doctors told him that he had about a 1 in 100 chance of making it. But he wouldn't give up, and we all just kept fighting to get it done. My mom and the nurses who cared for him had to do a ton of paperwork and even get him transferred to a different hospital so that our insurance would okay a temporary release. I will never forget the moment when I saw the car with him in it pull up at Liz and I's wedding at the church that day. The fact that he was able to make the 1-hour trip to see us get married less than a week after having the most serious brain surgery a person can have is another miracle. Today my dad is doing well, even though the left side of his body was partially impaired by the surgery. He has to get an MRI every 3 months to make sure the mass isn't growing back. So far his scans have been clean, and his next one is this week, so we're praying that it stays that way. Having been through all this, statistics, percentages, and timelines regarding cancer mean nothing to me, and they shouldn't to you either. Because cancer doesn't know you. It doesn't know your friends, it doesn't know your family, and it doesn't know your support system. It doesn't understand the power of a positive attitude and of the human spirit. And I believe it has greatly underestimated all of us here today. My mindset towards life is always that we have the power to calculate and create our own attitude no matter what our circumstances are. Since all this happened to my dad, I've become much more aware of how many people's lives are affected by cancer. As I sat in the hospital with my family all those days, all I could think about besides the health of my dad was how I could help others who were going through similar situations. To help others financially, in August 2012, I started a 50-50 clothing line called Fight to Fight Clothing and Inspires, which gives 50% of all profits to people who get large unexpected medical expenses. To this day, so far, we've been able to donate $10,000 and counting. To help others emotionally, we publish survivor stories that people have contributed to our website to present concrete, living, breathing evidence that cancer can be beat. And I also try to speak at as many events and benefits like this to tell my story. So to conclude, I've often thought about what I would say to a group of survivors if I ever got a chance to speak at an event like this. I came up with 3 things. Number 1 is never quit. The minute you quit in your mind, your body will begin to quit as well. Every single experience, every single day, every single minute in life is worth fighting for. You may have to go through the pain and discomfort of radiation, chemo, and surgery. But you must never forget that every speck of time that we have here is worth the fight. Number 2, struggle produces strength. Nobody gets where they want to be in life without overcoming adversity. The same goes for all of us. If it was easy to stay fit and healthy and make lots of money, everybody would. Cancer is nothing but an obstacle in your path that you have to struggle through, over, or around. The more you have to struggle, the stronger you will come out on the other side. Lastly, I think when something like cancer happens to us or to a friend or loved one, we tend to focus on all the bad stuff, on all the negativity and negative situations that come with it, and we forget to enjoy life. Enjoy every day, take risks, have fun, move forward, don't hold back. Each and every day is a gift, and we should live them that way. So I want to leave you by saying this. You've all done a good job. You've all fought well so far. But I believe your best days are yet to come.